Here we go. Yahoo! Tell me about those pretty eyes you got. Can you see my eyelashes? Do they look good?
Can you see my eyelashes? How do they look? Welcome to the Trisbrina Show.
Yeah.
Come on in, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Have a seat, or you can stand. In a very short while. There's these standing.
VIP row right up here, please. Take a seat. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, lovely to see you.
And
all right.
Today's episode, we're going to focus on how to say no to the yo-yo.
How do you get those goals to stick? What's the number one thing that we feel will make the biggest difference when it comes to living that life you love?
We've worked with a lot of people, and we work with ourselves
Quite a bit.
On so many things. Shifting habits, mindset habits, physical health habits, weight issues, obsessive looping.
Compulsive.
And it all boils down to this one thing, right? It's that if you do this one thing, you'll say no to the yo-yo forever.
You created an open loop, my dear. Hi, everyone. So think of this as a date night, because it is literally Thursday date night here. And we have a date night with y'all. So come on in. Good to be with you.
Tomorrow morning, we're heading out to San Diego. And we were like, should we just skip the date night and pack? And it was like, no. We said we'd have date night. So that ties into what we're going to talk to you guys about.
Very cool. Awesome. All right. Well, we have our friends are piping in here.
Awesome.
One by one.
We've got a iPhone. We've got a iPad. We've got a computer.
And we got a big open heart ready to share the love. Okay, Sabrina, well, why don't we jump right in with this one? It's a juicy topic.
All right.
Goals.
Chill out on the music.
People ask us all the time, how do you guys, no, they don't ask us all the time, but have you ever noticed how people start their videos like that? People always ask me. No, they don't.
They always ask me exactly what it is I wanted to talk about in this video.
But people do come to us looking for ways to align their life force energy so they can attain health goals. They might not call them goals. In fact, we have a lot of friends that don't like the word goals.
I don't like the word goals.
Tell me why, and then I'll tell you what I think it is too.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of reasons, but we'll make this short. I would say that maybe for the last 30 years, the reason I don't like the word goal is it seems cold and sterile, and it doesn't feel like a happy word. It feels like a pressure word. It feels like I'm going to obsessively think about this thing. If I achieve it, I'm good. If I don't achieve it, I'm bad. And it's a point of self-judgment. It's something I can judge myself about. And it doesn't feel fun. It never felt fun. That word, what's your goal? And then you say it out loud, and then what if you change your mind and you want to do something else and you said it? It just felt like a lot of pressure.
I guess being a boy growing up around martial arts, we were attaining goals by attaining our belt. So I put a different spin on it. There was some stress around it for sure, like wanting to accomplish and get that next colored belt. That was my goal. But I was also pretty passionate about it, and I was doing it with my friends. And so we were doing it together. Yeah. But in coaching over the years, many decades actually, I've seen people stress out a lot about goals. And then
I think it's the word.
The word comes with a big packs a big punch, right? But there's a judgment piece to goals that I think you don't like about it.
Well, it's the word. Now, I would say, growing up in dancing, like, oh, okay, I've mastered rumba. The next thing I'm going to master is cha-cha. You might say, I have a cha-cha goal. It was just something about that word from maybe I'm sure I could do some therapy and figure it out, but that it felt sad to me and a fixed point. And working with other people, like, what's your goal? Well, my goal is to lose 10 pounds. Really? Is that your goal? Or is your goal to feel better in your clothes so you feel proud of yourself, so you feel sexy for your husband, so you're a good example for your kids? And I always felt like the goal got stuck at the front with this thing that's not.
People think it's the target. Oh, I want that thing. And so what we actually did is we took the word goals and we turned it into an acronym. Of course we did.
Of course he did.
And it now is a path to mastering your life and yourself. And the word goal, it sits at the front of that acronym, and that's just one step. That's picking a target, aiming on something. You say, I'm going to shoot for that. But there's so much more. And without the other pieces, I can see why people feel that it didn't have enough of an internal connection to
we see you guys popping in.
We do.
Just so you know.
Hi, Beth. Hi,
Welcome,
Gail.
welcome.
I saw Nancy pop in and Wendy. The target alone isn't fulfilling, right? You just mentioned like how you want to feel when you attain this said thing, how you can use the attainment to maybe help others, right? To up level, not just an attainment, like give me this thing.
And if you say what your goal is out loud and you don't attain it, like there's a shame that can come with that, right? Like you tell everyone, I'm going to run in this marathon, or I'm going to make this amount of money, or I'm going to go to France this year. That's my goal for the year. And then you don't. There was a feeling of shame of not attaining it. So a part of me felt like I should keep that quiet just in case, because I don't want to feel like I wasn't enough. All this stuff I'm saying, just so you know, that is just like cray-cray.
Head trash.
Head trash.
Just the head trash. Goals are beautiful. It depends on how you look at them. And that's what we're going to unpack for a little while with you guys today. So I have seen, and I was kind of going down this path. And then we'll pack after we unpack the goals. We have seen people beat themselves up for not attaining a goal that they have set for themselves. And then there's a judgment that comes after. And what we found is that the target is a beautiful thing. The target it's a direction. It's something to lean towards and into. Some people actually, they got a little bit more hip to this piece of someone beating themselves up or judging themselves. And they said, why don't we have a goal, and then let's have a stretch goal. Let's have a minimum, and then a set goal, and then a stretch goal. And I like that, because sometimes you do want to stretch. You want to see, how far can I take this? How far can I go up the mountain, if you will? But maybe if I don't hit my target goal, can I hit at least my minimum goal? And there have been many goals that I haven't hit based on the time frame that I've given myself. Oh, I didn't get there in time.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I didn't get there. I had a big goal for our business that I really wanted to hit 2 years ago, but we hit it last year. Yeah. Right?
And it can be little things, right? It can be, I want to get my Christmas tree up during Thanksgiving weekend.
And And also the goal can evolve as we change. So it's a beautiful excuse. I see goals as excuses to play at the game of life, but don't beat yourself up over them. But then comes the part about, you talked about that, I mentioned head trash. What's going on in here that can cause someone to get excited but then fall off? Yeah. So let's talk about identity.
Well, so this week I was teaching one of my classes at the brick and mortar school, my dance fitness classes, and one of my teachers, she is a therapist, like she's a doctor, she's a psychologist, and she runs several clinics. And she was invited to be on a panel of 6 women at the University of Texas to talk about diet, health, and exercise. And she had to answer all these questions. So after class, she said, hey, can I run these questions by you? Because I feel like you know more about it than me, and hearing your answers might help me when I'm on the panel. So we went through the questions, and she got to the one, what do you think it is that makes the difference in the person that says, I want to start making healthier choices consistently, and I want to start moving consistently. The person that actually does that for years, their whole life. And the person that struggles, stopping and starting, or never starts. And without pausing, I said, oh, because the person that sticks, it's because it's a part of their identity. They have now embraced it. I'm someone who brushes my teeth every morning. I'm someone who loves dogs. I'm married. I'm divorced. I'm 5'5". I'm someone who moves every day. I'm someone who makes healthy food choices as often as possible. It's simply a part of you. And she said, oh my gosh, that was my answer. Because part of what I study is how as soon as someone can embrace an identity that is either for or against a habit that they have, she says it falls away so quickly. that, let's say somebody they like to smoke cigarettes and they're saying they want to quit. As soon as they really are like, I'm a person, I'm not a person that smokes. As soon as they have that identity, the habit is so easy to break. But as long as they have the identity of, I'm a person that smokes, but I want to quit, it won't fall away because their identity is, I'm the person that smokes that wants to quit. And she gave me a big fancy word for it that I can't remember what it's called.
Well, now the beautiful thing that I feel from this, and I've experienced it in my life, is shifting identity, even changing like the way that I think of myself. Like I remember I am a surfer, and that was fun. And as a surfer, I did some silly surfer things.
That involved a lot of puka shells.
A lot of puka shells and whatever. Surfing's beautiful, and it's a spiritual art form. But as a surfer, I had a particular group of friends and a particular behavior patterns. But when I became a martial artist, what was baked into that was discipline and self-respect and consistency and attaining these levels of physical mastery. And I stayed the course because the identity shifted. I've seen it in other people where they were a drug addict, drug dealer. They became a triathlete after a life crisis happened, but that identity, because the identity drives the story. You're the character in your story. As soon as the identity starts to shift, you start telling a different story, right? The I am shifts, and then the external follows.
And what it means to you shifts, right?
Yes.
For me, meditation, when I first started meditating, it was like, I'm going to meditate. I'd like to take up this practice of meditating. And it's so different now.
Totally.
Because I just love it. It's a treat. It's not something to check off the list. It's like, I hope I have enough time to fit in meditations today because I love it so much.
There is something to trying to upgrade the identity that you have and refine it. And that's what people do through repetition and consistency and discipline and setting new year resolutions or goals. And sometimes they can do that if they set the goal in the right way. And I'm going to go back to the identity in a moment. But if they have structure, they have goals that are, measurable, attainable. They have perhaps a coach or community and curriculum that they can leverage that helps them attain said goal. Through the repetition, they can change the belief system and the patterns, and therefore the identity shifts.
Just attending a weekly class can help you do that.
Some people can mobilize this much faster with energy work, because energy work unlocks the mind and the brain to receive new information, new mental blueprints that upgrade the identity. Think about, there was a Dr. Maltz. He talked a lot about something he named psycho-cybernetics. And he talked about a thermostat, like in your home, when you want the temperature to be a certain temperature. So you set it, let's say, for 70 degrees. And that's the program.
That sounds so nice right now.
Doesn't that?
96 degrees in Austin.
You set the program, the brain state at that. Now, let's say that the heat goes up a little bit and you're uncomfortable. That thermostat will kick in and bring it down. You have the ability to override it. So if you wanted to drop it down to 60 quickly, that's fine. It'll go for a little while, but the program will kick back in and you'll go back to the set point. This is what happens a lot of times with goals, is people get inspired. It's like pushing a button that says, I want to drop it down to 60. But until the program changes or the identity gets upgraded, the old program always kicks back in. And that's so frustrating to people. And that's why they end up beating themselves up.
But it's so exciting when you know that you don't have to do so much of the other things that you think you have to do. It's simply a shift of identity.
And that's the hack. If there is a hack, it's start telling the new story and truly seeing yourself. So when we set goals, oftentimes I'll ask the person, what's the why? Why do you want it? And if that why can be bigger than just you, like I want this for my kids, or I want this for my clients, I want this for whatever that is, you become a servant of that, you become a protector, a provider. That actually is very empowering. But not only your why, ask who wants this? That's the identity. What part of you is seeking this transformation? And if you can dial in and really find that core you, then it's a conscious goal, not a conditioned thought goal.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to align to who wants this as well as why do I want it. And if I can get clear on that, the identity shifts a lot faster. Mm-hmm. How is this resonating with you guys? What are your thoughts so far?
Mm-hmm.
You have
I had a really interesting thing while you guys are chatting, and we'll respond. So I have this Apple Watch, and if you don't have an Apple Watch, there's 3 functions that it does pertaining to fitness. 2, Apple just decides, like, for 12 hours a day, you should stand X number of minutes. And so every hour, you're supposed to be standing for X number of minutes. It doesn't matter if they're consecutive or apart. And if you do that, there's a bullseye. It's 3 circles. You get a full circle. It says that everyone should exercise 30 minutes a day. And I start moving, and after 30 minutes, it goes, your goal is achieved. And I'm always like, I got 30 more minutes. But one of them you can change. And the one that you can change is how many energy units a day do you want to burn through movement? So you can set that on your own. And so I'm like, well, I think I'd like to burn 1,000. Doesn't that sound nice? I'd like to burn 1,000 calories a day through movement. So I set it, and I probably had the watch 6 months, 8 months. So the ultimate like thrill is if all 3 of your circles are complete, and it does this swirly dance, and you get rockets. They bring flowers to the door, and not really. And
flowers.
So
I'm wondering if I was paying attention.
No, you can't see it.
You have to pull it out back.
So for some reason, I looked at the data, and I'm like, wow, I've never burned 1,000 calories a day through movement. What is that a good goal? Because every day I was a loser as far as that goes. So I got another day. And
did you feel a little sad? Judgment?
Well, after like 6 or 7 months of never getting that red circle completed, and I never had the spinning.
This person loves to win at life. So I know this irritated her.
But then I thought, like, why? I didn't even really research as a female, my size, how many calories a day through movement. Turns out that's like a whole lot. I need to pretty much just run. I just need to get up and run until it's time to sleep.
According to what? What you set?
Yeah.
So it was way too high.
So
you set the bar too high.
Right. So I figured, okay, if I dance for an hour, it uses, let's say, 550 units of energy. Now, that's fantastic. And then I thought, well, what if I just, the rest of the day through movement, what if I get to 700? Let's just try that. So I reprogrammed it, and I looked, and every day for 4 days, I was only 10 calories away from completing the goal.
Drove you crazy.
So I knew, like, that's really good, because
felt good.
You want your goal to be just like, oh man, if I had just stood up and done 25 jumping jacks, I would have been there.
Yeah.
And so, like, the past few days, some days I'm making it and some days I'm not. But that's a really good goal where it's like,
you're in the zone.
If it's like, yay, I did it, or I'm close, but it's not always like, well, I didn't even get close to that. Yeah. So that's something with your goals, is you want them to be not easy peasy. If I set it for 500, I'd get it before 9 a.m. because I dance every day from 8 to 9. So setting it at 700 for me means I better kind of walk the dogs, right? Move around the house, stand, do some laundry. Like, I've got to be doing some extra movement besides just my class, and that feels really good. And we were talking about how that's so important, that your goals feel like, I got to stretch, and it feels rewarding. Don't set a goal for yourself that you're setting yourself up to feel like you're never going to get it, because that just deflates you and you'll stop trying.
Yeah, and the more you set the goal too high and you start having those judgments come in, the more it deflates your confidence. Mm-hmm. And it erodes that confidence enough to the point that we just don't try anymore, and that's not good. Now, the thing about a goal that's set in the right way is it's actually very healthy for your brain. Your brain loves a good challenge. You have reward centers in your brain that light up and release dopamine and oxytocin, all these wonderful chemicals that make you feel good. So goals used in a conscious way, in a way that's healthy, are really good for us. There's something else that I love about goals. Because the brain loves a challenge, if you challenge yourself just enough, you hit that sweet spot, you can actually tap into what's called flow state. And flow state is this level of performance in anything that you do, but you see it oftentimes in athletes or musicians or artists, right? They tap into these states where something happens and they open up all the faculties of their mind and they are just in flow, and the athletes call it being in the zone, and they do amazing things. We can do this in all areas of life if we challenge ourselves in the right way. That is such a beautiful hack. Flow state was researched years ago by scientists, and I forget the gentleman's name right now. It's a really complicated name to say. Somebody may know it. But he was actually studying the science of happiness. And that's how he came upon these different things that help put the brain into this state of joy, which he then termed flow state. It's a beautiful thing to have a conscious goal, friends, if you set it up in the right way like you're doing. Now your brain's getting lit up. You're happy about it.
Yeah, it's fun now.
Now it's fun. And you're also accomplishing something that is good for you.
And just little wins throughout the day, things that they're not life-changing. Like I make cookies twice a week. And I decided that I was going to see how fast I could put all the ingredients in the blender and then into the bowl and mix it up. Like, could I get all the cookie batter totally ready to go in 7 minutes? And that's just really fun for me to set these little, they're just games. They're just contests. They keep my brain alert. They keep me focused on one task, because otherwise, I might start making cookies and remember I didn't send that email, and oh no, the dryer just went off and I need to fold those clothes, and it's recycle day. I need to break down those boxes, and oh no, the cookies are burning in the oven, and oh, I forgot my conference call.
That's not flow state.
You know, so sometimes having these little boxes of goals, these little tiny things, are fun, and I can actually turn almost anything into a fun goal if I'm light enough about it.
Yeah. And B just wrote that is keeping the momentum going. Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful thing about setting an attainable goal and actually getting it. It builds momentum. You start getting excited about things and about life. Because there's the opposite, which is apathy or feeling I can't, right? Yeah. So we don't want to live in that vibration. So goals are just excuses. It's a tool, if you will, to help stimulate your mind and your energy flow so that you're excited about life.
To stretch a little.
Yeah, there's things that everyone has goals. They just might not call them that. That's fine. They have desires. They have outcomes that they look forward to. So if you learn how to play the game of life in a way that builds momentum, and a little win, and a little win, and a little win, and maybe a little setback, but that can create some contrast and it excites you to look at it from another angle and expand and grow, then you'll build more momentum. And that's what we call the slingshot, where you feel a little bit pulled back, but as soon as you release any resistance, you go really quantum fast forward.
And that's so important, because when we mentioned identity earlier, you want to develop the identity of somebody that sets a goal and attains it, sets a little goal and attains it. That's going to fuel you. Otherwise, if you're setting goals that are too far, too large, too grandiose that you're not going to reach, then you're going to keep assuming the identity of I'm someone who never attains my goal.
Feeling defeated. Yep. And that's
I'm so excited to get the little 700 circle. I totally forgot I ever wanted 1,000.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I would like to speak to one other thought around this, because this in a way is a goal that was hidden for me until I found it. So I met Sabrina when I was young, in my early 20s, and my goal was to have no goals. Basically, was to just live in a pure state of flow, totally being present to the moment and responding to whatever is in front of me. And actually, I really enjoy that feeling of ease, because I was very hard on myself, earning the black belt, building a business as a young man. I put a lot of stress on myself. I was always doing what I'd said earlier, those stretch goals. I was really pushing, and I would judge myself because I didn't understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I flipped to the other end, if you will, of the polarity, which was no goals, just going to go with the flow. And so some magical
But
things.
not the same flow.
Different flow. It was just a, a little cliche saying, right? I'm just going to go with the flow.
Dude.
But I didn't know that I had these goals underneath that were active still. I just took the pressure off.
Mm-hmm.
But I still was goal-oriented.
Yeah.
So I wanted to attain high levels of nirvana in my meditation. That's not a goal. That's just me being aligned to love.
Yeah.
Right? But it was still a goal. I still had to face those things. But in allowing myself to not be so tight, and this is the point I want to make, and not pushing and forcing, a lot of things naturally started to happen for me. And I started a martial arts school, and it thrived because people felt the relaxation and the presence of this teacher, of this sensei, and they were attracted to that energy. And I remember the manager of the country club where I had my dojo said, so tell me about your goals for the next quarter. And I looked at her like, I don't have any quarterly goals. I don't have any annual goals. My goal is to live in the moment and be present and do the best job I can do as a teacher. And she was like, what? How are you planning to grow your business if you don't have goals? I said, I will just be in tune. I will use intuition and I will know what to do. And that really has served me in this life beautifully. So we're not saying throw that out. But there is a nice marriage. I always come back to the yin and the yang, that you can have some conscious goals and directions and targets. We're going to go to San Diego tomorrow. I'm pretty sure the pilot has a instrumentation with a goal on it that says land the plane in San Diego.
Safely.
So I'm down with having direction and having good plans and taking the right actions and knowing why you're doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. It can be a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So there.
So
merge it all together.
Well, I had told some of you earlier this week in a chat that we would let you know what was going on with Mr. Bentley.
Oh, yeah.
And I can sort of frame it around a goal. So we noticed that Mr. Bentley wasn't seeing out of one of his eyes very well. And it had sleepy eye in the morning, that little goopy goop, but one eye a lot more than the other. And there had been a little trauma to it at the groomers 6 months ago, maybe. And so immediately we get him to the vet, and it turns out he has something called dry eye.
Poor guy.
Just one eye. And he's not making tears in that eye. And because he's not making tears, when he blinks, the lid has been scratching the cornea?
Surface.
The surface.
I think it's the cornea.
And so it's really damaged, and that's why he's not able to see. So we're putting a gel antibiotic on it to see if there's an infection that can help clear it up. And on top of that, we put a gel that makes tears for him. Yeah. Not makes tears, it just kind of keeps it wet. But
it's called artificial tears.
You don't know this. So we do that twice a day, and then maybe 8 times a day we put these fake tears in there. But I covered one of his eyes today. He has a little hat, his little eating hat, and I put it over his good eye. And we moved a kibble, and you could tell he was just smelling it. It was really, was hard for me emotionally because, you see this thing that you love not able to see. I saw he was losing a piece of his identity because he's the athlete of the family.
Yes, he is.
But today, when Mom was here, we covered the eye. And he looked at it.
Oh, good.
So just from 3 days of creating these tears. So, is that a goal? Yes, that's now a new goal that every day we will put the medication on. We'll be aware of it. We'll clean it. We'll wash it. And we will help him to our best ability get the vision back in that eye. So everything is a goal. A goal can be just from love. It can be a personal stretch. It's really just, to me, something I say, I'm going to give my energy to this.
And you're changing your identity, or you're upgrading it, or maybe you're uncovering the natural identity that was always there. Because sometimes we lay on top of our true identity false notions about ourselves. The I cans and the whatevers, right? All the programs, the story that's not the true story. But underneath there's the soul story. And so if you can use goals as expedients to help you remember who you really are. And if you have to use some mental tools along the way, then choose some powerful I am statements. We say around here in the dojo, I am a life force artist, or I am, I am a life force lover, because that's an identity that I can lean into, and it reminds me, yeah, that's kind of my truth. My soul is connected to this love force and this life force, and when I'm in that flow, I am at my best, and I'm loving my life and being the human being that I want to be. That being said, I do have a quick segue as we land the plane. If you would like to have the identity of being a Qigong ninja, meaning someone who helps others with these life force arts and helps them with moving meditations, and you would like to be have the identity of teacher or instructor of Qigong.
And remember, all you have to do is be one step ahead of your students. We're not saying you have to be
a master,
greatest master that ever walked the earth yet.
Yeah, if you would like to take your own personal level of the energy arts and Qigong deeper, and you'd also like to be certified by us to share that art with others, we have a really awesome opportunity. And if you're not on our email list, you will find it on this page, and we will give you a link to learn more about it. There's a video that we put together for you.
Say the link, because this will be on the website too.
It's Satori Method. That's our website, Satori Method at method.com.
You know spelling bee?
Yeah. Satori Method. And then .com, you got to put that / and then write the word certification. We'll post the link above and all over the places.
Yeah.
And we'll put it in the banner.
It's like 50% off. We kick it off the 1st of October.
The first or the second?
The second. So we take a small group of people, because you get live virtual training with us as well as pre-recorded. Hey, why don't you guys want to say hi to Mr. Bentley?
Yeah. Okay. You going to get him?
You
get him. You do it.
You do it.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, everyone.
It's your goal.
Nancy said, so with you. I honor your commitment to Mr. Bentley.
So you guys, when you see Mr. Bentley, to see him seeing you back through both eyes.
Come here, mister. You get to meet our friend. All right. We're cavalier catchers. We caught 2 cavaliers. Say hi, everyone. Look at that pretty boy. That is one pretty boy. And you
2 pretty boys.
You're super cute. Winston is so in love with Bentley. Anytime he can, he tries to sneak a kiss. Watch. You gonna sneak a kiss?
Kisses.
Winston, you gonna try to sneak one? Bentley doesn't care for it too much. B says, a therapist had once told me, when you are overwhelmed because you're looking at the big picture and it's too much, take a few steps back and then look at the smallest step you can take in the direction of your goal. Then take the next step and the next, and that's beautiful. That's awesome. Yeah, remove the stress, remove the drama so there's no trauma, and turn it into your dharma. Yep.
You know, when I've helped people because I had an eating disorder, and I've worked with other women who have had eating disorders, one of the first things that we do is stop making certain foods bad, right? That heaviness of, I can't eat that ever, it's bad, no. And take away all that pressure that we put on ourselves. And everything changes after that. Oh, he is so pretty.
He's so happy up here. Awesome. All right, beautiful friends.
Thanks for the love.
Thanks for joining us today. Have an incredible weekend ahead. And we'll put that link for you if that lights you up. We'd love to work with you in that capacity. All right.
It's when you go to the page, satorimethod.com/certification, you can just scroll down and you can read what some of you are actually here live with us today, are doing with their certifications. Some of them are volunteering. We have a really sweet student that teaches seniors, just volunteer. That's his service back. But we have people teaching classes, adding it to things that they already do, teaching face-to-face, teaching at a yoga studio, at a martial arts school, in a park. There's so many ways.
Through Skype with their coaching clients. Yeah. There's many ways that you can use this art. It's a beautiful clearing, and it aligns your energy, and it taps you into that soul guidance so you know what to do and when to do it. Okay, until next time.
Ta-ta.
So much love.